Hey, thanks for joining. Today's video is a little unexpected. Yesterday, I was up just after 3 in the morning for a long drive, well, 2.5 hours, to the Pilanesberg National Park here in South Africa. Now, the Pilanesberg is home to the Big Five, so I was expecting, or hoping, to have some great shots of lion and leopard, rhino, or at least giraffe and hippo and buck. But something strange happened on the drive up. There was fog. Now, fog isn't unheard of in South Africa, but it's pretty rare in my experience, which might be because I don't normally get up just after 3 in the morning. So, we're shifting today's video to a slightly different edit to that I was expecting. I hope you like the video. If you do, please subscribe. More importantly, please comment and I will be sure to respond. Let's get started. So this is the image we've selected to edit. It's a real hybrid. So when photographing birds, the temptation is always to get the 600mm, add a teleconverter, get in close, pick out every feather. This image really doesn't conform to that, and it's all about the bird in its environment. So it's a hybrid between a bird photograph and a landscape photograph, with those beautiful hills in the background, the beautiful natural flare of the sun coming up from the right hand side and that mist rolling across the bottom of those hills. So first thing we're going to do is to check the import details have given us what we're looking for, and the lens corrections have been completed as per the import settings, so that's fine. Checking the details top left, there's no noise in this image. ISO 125, 1/320th of a second. So the Pilanesberg Park is a Big Five reserve, so some pretty dangerous animals about. So this image was taken from the car, so handheld, at 70mm. I was expecting to be photographing game, wild animals, and so I didn't pack my wide angle lens. This is as wide as I could go with my old 70-200. First thing we're going to do is crop the image, and it definitely lends itself to a panoramic. So we're going 16:9, and then I want that bird in the center. But before we crop closer, just going to change the angle a little bit. And I think what we're looking for is about that. It's always difficult when you have what appear to be two different horizon lines. So, and obviously neither of these are horizons at all, but the temptation is to make the image parallel with this line here at the back and also the line of these reeds, and they don't quite talk to each other. So really you have to do that by eye, and I'm quite happy with the way that now looks. Cropping in slightly from the left. For those of you that advocate rule of thirds on every image that you take, I suggest you change that. And in this case, I want the bird central. So there's the crop we're going for. I'm going to adjust some of the basic panel. I'm not touching the exposure. I try not to use contrast as a global adjustment. I'm going to bring the highlights down a touch. Yeah, maybe more than I thought, so around that 50 mark. Bring the shadows up a little, and then we're going to increase the whites about 30-35. Happy with that. And then I'm going to bring the blacks down slightly. It's a real balance to be had here between the foreground and the background. Not touching the presence panel at all. And then I'm going to convert this to black and white. Absolutely screams black and white to me, and certainly did at the point that I took the shot. And so move that to black and white. At the time I was thinking about making this a really high contrast image, but I'm not sure that's the direction we're going to go. Let's jump into the tone curve. And it's a pretty standard S-curve that I'm going to apply here to bring the blacks down a touch. Obviously that's impacting the foreground more than the black background, and we can adjust for that in just a moment and bring the lighter areas of the image up quite considerably. And then the midtones back to where we started, I think. Yes, I'm happy with that. Go back to the basic panel. Just going to adjust the white slightly more, almost to the point of blowing this white area out here. And sometimes I don't mind blowing the whites out. If that's what works for the image, then that's what works. So I'm really pretty close there, but I'm not really judging it based on that. I'm basing it on the look and the feel of the image. There's quite a bit of work to be doing on the foreground here. So let's start our masks with the foreground, and we'll take a linear gradient. Not too huge a feather here. And I'm going to increase the exposure by about half a stop. That's better, but it's not enough. But I quite like this very dark area at the center. I'm going to raise the shadows a little. That's good. And then I'm going to come back out of the masks. I'll go back there in a moment. And I'm just going to jump down to this black and white panel, and I'm going to raise the yellow slider to the right, and that'll just raise the luminance of these reeds at the beginning, and I like that. That's good. Now, one of the things we have lost a little is the contrast in the mountains. So I'm going to go back to my masks, and I'm going to create a linear gradient with a fairly narrow feather, just to select beyond the waterline if I can. And I am going to intersect that mask with a luminance mask, because I only want the darker areas of that selection, the final selection. It's done a reasonable job, but you can see it's selected some of the darker areas in the sky. So I'm simply going to subtract the sky from the mask, and that's done a very good job. And this is where I am going to change the contrast. So don't like using contrast at a global level, but at a masked selection level, I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to raise the contrast, increase the whites a little, and bring the blacks down. And that's quite nice. I'm happy with that. I think we're nearly there. So I'm going to jump down into sharpening. And I want to sharpen up this section here a little. It's a beautiful silhouette of that widow bird. I'm just going to sharpen a little. Come back out, and using your Option key on Mac. I haven't used Windows for 20 years, but I assume it's the Control key. Option key on a Mac. Just drag that across until the areas that go black are the areas you don't want to sharpen. And I don't want to sharpen anything in the background. But I do want to sharpen that central area the most. And then we'll jump back in close and adjust the sharpening. It's going to take quite a high degree. Yeah, into the 90s, that's quite a lot. Just reduce the radius a little, 0.8, and we'll increase the detail a little. we'll click on the before and after. So this is the after the sharpening has taken effect, and that's before. After and before. And that's subtle enough but makes a difference, so I'm happy with that. And then finally, I'm going to add a vignette. Please don't use the vignette tool in Lightroom. You get much more control using masks, and it's a simple technique. Just grab a radial mask. You can put the radial mask wherever you like, whereas the vignette tool only affects the center, or starts at the center as a minimum. I'm going to move that down over the bird. I'm going to make it slightly smaller. And I'm going to reduce the feather even further. I want that to affect quite a lot of the image. Invert that mask. We'll bring the exposure down just a touch. Just a touch. And then I'm going to go into the effects panel, and I'm going to bring the texture down, and I'm going to bring the clarity down. Too much. Still too much. Might take a little bit more texture reduction. Quick before and after. It just softens off the outside, and I think that works nicely. But I am going to add one final mask, which is this area here. And I'm going to bring up the whites to try and accentuate that mist. About 30. Going to jump down into the effects panel and just dehaze that. Too much. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So, I think we are at the final image. So we started with what was quite a pleasant image. Warmth coming through from the right hand side. I obviously didn't change the tone. This is a little green because I was moving to black and white. But with the adjustments we've made, I think that is a really nice bird in its environment, atmospheric with the mist in the background, and really captures the mood of the morning. I'd love to know what you think. If you like the video, it would be great if you would subscribe. Makes a huge difference to me and to the channel. Whether you like the edit or the video at all, would really like to hear your comments one way or the other, especially about the edit and the effect that we put on the edit. So please drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond. Thanks for watching.